Hello everybody, it's Hater. Welcome back to another Destiny 2 build video, and today we're going to be talking about how the brand new Osteo Striga exotic SMG combined with the exotic arms Necrotic grips are easily one of the most potent combos you can run in the entire game right now. So without further delay, if you guys enjoy the video, give it a like, leave a comment down in the comment section what you guys think of the Osteo Striga, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow me over at my Twitch, and there'll be a dim loadout link down in the description. Starting things off, guys, before we even talk about what the build does, let's talk about how you guys are going to be getting the Osteo Striga itself. And it's actually going to be coming from buying the deluxe edition of Destiny 2 Witch Queen. It's a little odd that Bungie made it a pre-order weapon and basically paywalled it. Hopefully sometime here in the future, Bungie will just make it a free-to-earn weapon for everybody. But to actually get your hands on the Osteo Striga after you've got the deluxe edition of the game, once you beat the Witch Queen campaign, the full campaign in its entirety, you can head down to the Enclave and craft it at the weapon crafting table. And because it's a part of the new weapon crafting system, once you've unlocked it and gotten your hands on it, you can start leveling it up to then change out all of its perks. So let's say you don't like the base reload that the Osteo Striga has, just like me. Once you've gone and leveled it up, you can change out the steady rounds that it starts off with for something like flared magwell or alloy magazine. But actually taking a look at Osteo Striga, it is a 600 RPM SMG with the exotic perk Screaming Swarm. Fires a stream of sentient toxic projectiles that track the targeted enemy. Basically meaning this weapon has a built-in aimbot with tracking bullets. All you have to do is look in a general vicinity of an enemy and just pull the trigger. I can definitely see this being an issue in PvP. But as for its other exotic perk, Toxic Overload, this is where it gets pretty crazy. Landing a final blow or multiple precision hits triggers a burst that poisons nearby targets. If you're familiar with the Thorn and the Necrotic grips, this is the exact same poison that both of those exotics have, but put into a full auto SMG. And let me tell you guys, that poison does a lot of damage. Because what it's gonna do is once you land about upwards to 5 bullets on an enemy, it's gonna apply the poison and start ticking them. Each time it ticks, it's gonna keep adding more and more and more damage, starting small and then snowballing all the way up to about 12,000 damage on the final tick. To an enemy like Carl that I showed in the clip, that's half of his HP. That is a lot of damage for only shooting him about 6 times. I'm starting to get some Outbreak Perfected vibes from this weapon. But moving on over to what the exotic catalyst does and how you guys are going to get it, let me tell you, it is a pain to get the catalyst, at least it was for me, because it involves weapon crafting yet again. You just have to take Osteo Striga over to the Enclave and then craft the catalyst itself. Pretty simple. The Ascendant alloy that you need to craft it is such a pain to farm for, because it's only going to be dropping from a couple places. One is from buying it from Rahul every week, another is reaching rank 16 with the gunsmith, and the other 2 ways involve random drops from the master version Wellspring and the weekly campaign mission. The way that I ended up getting mine was doing the weekly mission over and over again on hero difficulty, but I highly recommend getting your guys light up to just LFG or get some friends together and do the Wellspring, because you're going to be able to knock 2 things out at once. A, you're getting the Ascendant alloy, and you're getting the weapons that you need to craft for later. As for what the catalyst does itself, it reads, Poison Final Blows return ammo to the magazine. Now, what does that mean? What it basically means is that every time you get a kill with the poison that you've applied to an enemy, it will act as a super subsistence, giving you back almost 20 bullets to the magazine and overflowing it all the way up to, at least from what I've seen, 106 bullets. Yeah, you heard that right. An SMG with 106 bullets. So I'll say it for you guys. The Ascendant alloy, very well spent. Now that we've pretty much gone over what Osteo Striga does and just how broken all of its perks are, let's talk about the interaction it has with the Necrotic grips. Necrotic Grip's exotic perk, Grasp of the Devourer, reads, damaging combatants envenoms them with poison that deals increasing damage over time. Defeating a poisoned combatant spreads the condition to nearby targets. What we're looking at here is that bottom row of text. Defeating a poisoned combatant spreads the condition to nearby targets. Because without Necrotic Grips, what Osteo Striga is going to do is you apply the poison to an enemy, and then when the enemy dies, it will explode into poison. That poison doesn't spread on to other enemies after they die. But with Necrotic Grips, that allows that poison to jump from one target to the next, then to the next until there are no more enemies that can be poisoned. And if you're catching on where I'm going with this, then you understand that this synergizes extremely well with the catalyst. Because once poison kills an enemy, you're getting like 27 bullets back every single enemy. And this isn't even factoring in different abilities for that matter. Speaking of which, now that we've gone over Necrotic Grips and Osteo Striga, let's take this synergy and apply it to a build. Starting things off, we're going to be using the Voidwalker subclass, since Void 3.0 Warlock brings quite possibly some of the best utility to the table outside of Well of Radiance. For the super, I'm using Nova Bomb Cataclysm. You guys could use Nova Bomb Vortex, both will get the job done. Then we're going to be using Vortex Grenade because it's by far the best PvE grenade in the game right now. And we're going to be pairing that with the Chaos Accelerant aspect so that we can hold our grenade button to overcharge the Vortex Grenade, grabbing enemies from a further range and dealing more damage while they're inside of it. Then we're going to pair that with Child of the Old God so that casting our Healing Rift in this case will spawn a Void Buddy over your shoulder that you can send out to enemies, weakening them and dealing 15% more damage to them. At the same time, it will drain them for grenade and melee energy, and when you kill them, it will give you class ability energy back. For the fragments, we're going to be using Echo of Expulsion. This is going to allow all of our abilities to cause enemies to explode on top of dealing all the poison damage. Then we're using Echo of Undermining to synergize with the Vortex Grenade and weaken enemies. Then finally, Echo of Remnants to increase the Vortex Grenade's lifetime overall. Finally, to finish the video off, let's talk about the mods that make the build. And for the armor, we're going to need a few of them to be very specific energy types. We're going to need at least one of the pieces solar and then 2 of them void. Starting things off at the helmet, mine is solar, and I'm using Bountiful Wells inside of it. What it does is allow all of our elemental well mods that create elemental wells to be stacked on top of themselves and create 1 additional well per mod equipped. In this case, we're using Elemental Ordnance and Reaping Wellmaker, and we're only using 1 copy of each, so both of them are going to be creating 2 elemental wells each time that they proc. Next to it though, I'm using 2 Ashes to Assets so that whenever we get kills with the supercharged Vortex Grenade, it's going to give us bonus super energy. Moving on over to the Necrotic Grips, I have these as Void, and I'm using Reaping Wellmaker at the end of it. It creates a Void Elemental Well whenever we get a kill with our weapons after using our class ability. Then I'm using 2 Bolstering Detonations next to it so that I gain bonus class ability energy back after hitting enemies with my grenade. Over at the chest piece, I also have this as Void, and I'm using Well of Tenacity at the end of it, so picking up a Void Elemental Well will give me 5 seconds of 50% damage reduction. Next to it though, I'm using a Void Resistance mod and Thermoshock Plating from the artifact so that I take 25% less damage from arc, solar, and void damage. Moving on over to my boots, I have these as Void also, and at the end of it, I'm using Elemental Ordnance so that I can create 2 Void Wells whenever I get a kill with my Vortex Grenade. Then I'm using 2 Artifact Rocket Launcher Scavengers, which will stack even though that they say it doesn't. And better already, so that my shields immediately start healing if a Orb of Power drops and I pick it up. Then finally, over at my bond, I have it as stasis and I'm using volatile flow. So picking up a void elemental well will cause my void weapons to shoot volatile rounds for 17 seconds. If you're not familiar with this, I made a video talking about the funnel web SMG. It'll be in the top right, but this is a borderline broken mod that is phenomenal with any void weapon you bring into your build. And then I'm using distribution next to it so that I reduce all of my abilities cooldowns casting my rift near enemies. Either way guys, that is going to be the build for today's video. Osteo Striga is definitely one of the top tier weapons you guys can run right now, and I hope you all enjoy